I just felt terrible one night and I couldn't catch my breath, and it got worse and worse.
She's a young woman. She had really uncontrolled asthma, had gotten a respiratory infection on top of it, and was on a ventilator.
My lungs were so distended that they couldn't clear the carbon dioxide from my blood.
Despite all of our attempts to get her off the ventilator, her lungs and airways were so inflamed, we just couldn't break that cycle.
And the only options left were either a lung transplant, or they had this machine that was not usually used for asthma patients.
We started to talk about ECMO.
If that failed, the only other option was looking at end-of-life care.
ECMO is basically an external lung. It's a lung bypass, going extracorporeal, taking the blood out of the body and pump it through an artificial oxygenator, and then return it to the right side of the heart.
It was sort of a last resort.
Here at St. John's, she was the first patient that we treat with this therapy.
I responded really well, and they were really shocked.
She had the breathing tube out within just a few hours of going on ECMO. She was actually, the next day, was able to walk, and within about 72 hours was off the ECMO circuit, able to recover and get back to her family. The fact that we could take somebody from near dead to back home within a few days, it was just a humbling experience. And after that, we were able to purchase more ECMO machines. We actually treated dozens and dozens of patients with ECMO very successfully. In March of 2020, we put our first COVID patient on ECMO. So we were actually prepared for COVID in a way that most other institutions in town weren't.
I caught COVID when I was 35 weeks pregnant.
Natalie had just delivered her baby urgently through C-section because she had to be placed on a breathing tube. Early in COVID, going on a breathing tube was associated with a very, very high risk of death.
I was so scared of being intubated and not waking up, never enjoying my baby, and never seeing my 4-year-old again.
When Natalie went on the breathing tube, her lungs were still so inflamed and damaged by COVID that she wasn't able to get oxygen in. She wasn't able to get CO2 out. We brought her here, put her on ECMO immediately.
I got better a lot faster than anybody thought it was going to happen.
Eventually, she was able to go home. We were, I think, the first hospital, maybe in California, certainly maybe in the West, to actually put a COVID patient on ECMO. We, as a community hospital, really have treated probably more of these patients than a lot of larger programs across the nation.
I would not be here today if it wasn't for the ECMO machine. That's for sure.
Jacob was uninsured, but his mother and his stepfather just didn't give up.
Our son, Jacob, was at another facility. The doctor literally called me direct and said, "There's nothing more we can do for your son. You should come down and start saying your goodbyes."
And they were able to track down our program.
The ECMO treatment, that was the only thing left for him.
We get a phone call from Dr. Therese Hammond at St. John's Hospital. And
she said, "Yes, we've accepted Jacob as a patient." And this is where the foundation comes in.
Because of the generosity of our foundation, we were able to accept a number of uninsured patients here. Michael Ricks advocated for these patients.
The foundation approved his transfer and acceptance as a patient to St. John's. If they hadn't, he would have died 2 days later.
I was here at St. John's for like 90 plus days with the ECMO. It was a big part of saving my life. I'm grateful. I'm like extremely grateful.
obviously it's an amazing machine, not just because it saved Jacob's life. There's other lives it saved.
So this is Mr. Stevenson's 189th day here at St. John's on ECMO. Doing great, Evan.
And the miracle machine that can keep somebody alive when their lungs are to the point where they can't even be ventilated.
He's a very active father and husband, and never give up hope. Never give up hope.
I don't even think I'd be here at all. So, I want to thank you and your organization as well.
Dr. Hammond's such a beautiful and amazing human being. I will always be grateful for her and her team here at St. John's.
My wife's life was saved because of donations at ECMO, especially right now during the pandemic. I think they have 10 machines here. All I can really say is thank you.
Yeah, I'm thankful.
Extremely grateful. It really makes you think about what you can give as well.
To the foundation and the board,
Thank you.
thank you.
Will never be enough. It's an understatement.
None of this would be possible without the kind of foundation that St. John's has. Knowing that we saved these lives, and it's not just the individual life, it's the children and the parents and the multiple people for each life saved that have been impacted by St. John's. It's a very personal thing for them in the same way it's a very personal thing for us in the hospital.
My name is Natalies, and I was an ECMO patient at St. John's.
My name is Jacob, and I was an ECMO patient at St. John's.
My name's Kirsty and I'm St John's first ECMO patient.